Now I want to talk about change. I want to talk about the importance of change and the impact that it has on life. Change is inevitable. Change is inevitable. You have to get used to the fact that things in life around you are just going to change. That's just life. That's just part of the process. It's a part of growth. You need to change. You need to learn. You need to grow. You need to experience new things. You need to relationships are going to end. They're going to turn into turmoil. They're meant to do so. You can't live in the past. You can't dwell on the past. The only thing you can do is look forward to the future and make the present the best present you can possibly make it in order to ensure that your future is phenomenal, no matter what changes that you might encounter. And I'm speaking from experience here because in my 24 years on this earth, as short as it may be, I have already realized such an immense amount of change. Everything around you changes. The people around you change constantly. So your surroundings are constantly changing. You know, where you live, where you work, what you may drive. Every little thing is going to change at some point. And though even if it's temporary or whether it's permanent, change change is always a good thing. No change is a bad thing because even the things we see as negative changes are just experiences that are put in our way that we are meant to go through in order to get to that next phase of our life. You can't dwell on, oh, this is changing and I don't like this change. Some people hate change, but change forces adaptation. It forces that survival instinct in us. Because when we get used to something, if you get too used to something, you become complacent and you lose that spark of having to adapt. You lose that survival instinct once you get too comfortable with the situation. It leaves people who are stuck, people get stuck in a situation and they don't know how to deal. They don't know how to get out. They don't know what to do. They feel like any way they turn is going to be a bad decision. Anything they change, they're too scared to change it because they fear that change. I'm going to tell you right now, change is important. You need it. You need it to grow. And I'll give you a good example of how change that I thought in the time was so negative turned out to be an extremely positive thing. Now, for those of you who don't know, you're about to find out. I used to be in the United States Army. And I first joined, and I completed basic training. I went through to my first AIT, which is training where they send you to actually learn your job, learn how to do what you signed up really to do. I went 22-week course, lasted 15 weeks. Well, you say, hey, last 15 weeks, that's pretty good. But no, to me, I flunked out. To me, that was the worst thing in the world. And you say, well, you're the motivational speaker here. Well, why don't you just look at it as a good thing? In that time, I had failed. And at that time, I didn't see failure as any way to lead to success. To me, failure was failing, and that was unacceptable. And I couldn't grow from there. I was so blinded by the moment that I didn't see how it was going to really affect and impact my future as a whole. I don't think nobody ever really does. They say, oh, well, you flunked out, not so bad. We're going to reassign you to a different unit. You're going to go to a different AIT for a different job. And I said, okay, I'll take whatever you got. Even, at first, At first, I was like, I'm not gonna take this. I'm not gonna take. They're throwing things at me. I didn't want it. I said, I'm done with this. I don't want to be here anymore because I was so distraught over the fact that I failed. I couldn't see past failure because that to me, I was so comfortable where I was that me failing meant change. It meant, I didn't know what was gonna happen. My whole world was about to change. What were they gonna send me somewhere else? What I signed up to do something specific and I failed at that specific job. So, to make a long story short, I flunk out. I go to this next place, this next unit. I fly all the way from Fort Rucker, Alabama, which is the aviation training base for the United States Army. I go from Fort Rucker all the way to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And I to me at first I was miserable because it's a change. Everything was different. The rules were different. This was different. That was different. Changed. Things were changing. The people around me had changed. Leadership had changed. The type of people I was around changed. The entire environment kind of changed around me, and I couldn't accept it. I couldn't handle it. And it took me getting to my first duty station, where I was stationed in Campville, Germany, to really realize that okay, you know, it may have I may have flunked out, but look where it led me. It led me to a place where I got to get to meet so many different people. In Germany, I met so many great people. Germany is filled with some of the nicest people you will ever meet. The locals are great. The environment is great. To me, some of the most fun times of my life I ever had thus far. I can't speak for the future, but to this point, have been in Germany. Now, in the time, yes, I flunked out. I saw change. That's all I saw, and I feared the change. But once I got over that fear of change, from that point on, I looked at change of more like something of a tool. You have to use change as a tool and a motivator to continue going, to get out of the situation. You can't focus on what you can't control. You can only focus on what you can control. So if things change around you, you can yourself also create your own change. You can also create change around you. If you're not happy with the way things are going, change it. That's why I think people fear change because they don't know that they can use change as a tool in life to help better themselves and better where they're at. Change, change, change. Now I've said it a lot. I can't stress it enough. It's one of those things that people just they see it and that's it. They see change, they freak out. They don't want anything in their life to change. Change is necessary for development. I'll say it again. Change is necessary for development.